Singer Dawn Richard testifies that Sean Diddy Combs hit Cassie Ventura with a skillet full of eggs.
She might have a lawsuit too.
Diddy's ex wrapped up her testimony today after 4 grueling days on the stand.
Diddy's entire world came crashing down the moment Dawn Richard took the stand.
You got to go back to the drugs and the alcohol, man. The drugs and the alcohol, man. And those things will make you do strange things.
The music mogul's carefully crafted image shattered as his former protege revealed what really happened behind closed doors. The courtroom fell silent when she described witnessing Cassie's alleged abuse. Testimony so powerful, it visibly rattled the usually composed bad boy founder.
Richard accused Combs of gender discrimination and a hostile work environment by being exposed to She also alleged that she was a victim of false imprisonment. In her suit, Richard stated she was seeking compensatory and punitive damages, as well as other costs for post-traumatic stress, anxiety, and emotional suffering, and financial losses she suffered as a result of Combs' alleged behavior. Combs has denied her allegations. His lawyer told E! News in September, Mr. Combs is shocked and disappointed by this lawsuit. Richard's testimony in Combs' ongoing trial comes 8 months after she accused the rapper in a lawsuit of subjecting her to years of inhumane working conditions, which included groping, assault, and false imprisonment. The lawsuit, filed in September, obtained by E! News, stated, Mr. Combs frequently held meetings with Ms. Richard wearing only his underwear, despite Ms. Richard's protests and repeated requests for him to put on clothing. In her filing, the 41-year-old also alleged that Combs ordered her to strip down to her underwear, made demeaning remarks about her body, and entered her dressing room unannounced while she was unclothed, and touched her without her permission, under the guise of showing the stylist what to do.
Dawn Richard wasn't just any witness. As a former member of Danity Kane and Diddy Dirty Money, she had unprecedented access to Diddy's inner circle for years. Her insider position gave her testimony extraordinary weight. She wasn't speaking from hearsay, but from first-hand experiences that painted Diddy in a light few had seen before. The atmosphere shifted dramatically when Dawn began describing specific incidents. Richard testified that in 2009, she witnessed Diddy strike Cassie with a skillet full of eggs at his Los Angeles home. According to Dawn, Diddy came downstairs demanding to know where his phone was, then violently threw Cassie to the ground. She described watching in horror as he attempted to kick Cassie, who curled into a fetal position to protect herself.
Danity Kane alum Dawn Richard, who began working with Sean Diddy Combs while competing on his show Making the Band in 2004, took the stand after Cassie wrapped her testimony May 16th. Richard joined Combs' group Diddy Dirty Money after Danity Kane disbanded. While on the stand, she told jurors that she saw Combs hit Ventura with a skillet full of eggs at his Los Angeles home in 2009. Richard testified per NBC News. He came downstairs asking where his phone was, and he threw her to the ground. He attempted to kill her. She fell to the ground and went into the fetal position, literally trying to hide. In addition to striking Ventura with the skillet, Richard said Combs put his arm around the neck and took her upstairs before she heard glass breaking. Richard added, I was scared for her. I was scared to do anything.
Dawn told the court how Diddy then put his arm around Cassie's neck, dragged her upstairs, after which she heard glass breaking. I was scared for her. I was scared to do anything, Dawn admitted, her testimony cutting through the courtroom tension. Dawn described a pattern where Diddy's anger would erupt unpredictably, creating an atmosphere where everyone, especially Cassie, seemed to be walking on eggshells.
She witnessed, and she's saying that she witnessed a gang, which actually we know it as called a train. And she worked on the album, The Train to Paris. And like I heard one of the YouTube, it could be Tistel, say that we didn't know what the train to Paris meant. But now we know that the train to Paris was a train in Scotland. It wasn't a train in Paris, it was a train in Scotland. Every time I have a witness doing something is when 2 guys and 2 girls will go in the room. And that was just regular. And however they did it, whatever they did, that was their business. But he gotten bold enough whereas that he would do that in front of Dawn and other people at a poolside in Scotland. You sure it was Scotland, man?
She detailed how arguments would escalate quickly from verbal confrontations to intimidation tactics, with Cassie often bearing the brunt of his fury. Court reporters noted that as Dawn spoke, Diddy's legal team appeared increasingly concerned. They whispered urgently among themselves, passing notes and occasionally leaning over to consult with their client. The power dynamics in the courtroom seemed to shift with each new detail Dawn revealed. What made Dawn's testimony particularly damning was how it connected to her own lawsuit filed last September. In that suit, she accused Combs of sexual harassment, gender discrimination, and creating a hostile work environment. According to court documents, Dawn claimed Diddy frequently held meetings with her while wearing only his underwear despite her protests, ordered her to strip down, made demeaning comments about her body, and touched her inappropriately without consent. The courtroom atmosphere shifted dramatically when prosecutors played an explosive audio recording featuring Cassie. On the tape, she's heard threatening a Diddy associate who allegedly possessed video footage of a heated confrontation. Jurors' eyebrows visibly raised as the raw emotion in Cassie's voice revealed someone pushed to their absolute breaking point.
Those are things that she's gonna have to bring up into the lawsuit, that Diddy stopped the way that she was working and how she could work by the fact that he would change, like you just said. What she would do, bro, he would turn off her mic and don't let her sing songs or don't let her do certain things, a part of the band. When he do her, I don't know what to say about that, brother. All I can say is that, you know, all of it sounds like using his power. He's using his power to get at people that works for him. And when you do that, when they bring you to court, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna lose if they can prove it.
The recording didn't just capture Cassie's words, it captured years of accumulated pain. Legal analysts described her voice as quivering between rage and fear, painting a picture of someone trapped in an impossible situation. Rather than undermining her credibility, as the defense might have hoped, the recording seemed to humanize her struggle. What made the recording particularly impactful was how it contrasted with the polished, controlled image both Cassie and Diddy had presented throughout their relationship. For years, the public had seen them as a power couple, with their romance playing out in carefully curated social media posts. The raw emotion in the recording shattered that facade, revealing the messy, painful reality that allegedly existed behind the glamorous exterior. Diddy's defense team attempted to flip the narrative by targeting Cassie's credibility. They introduced text messages where Cassie wrote, "I'm lost without you," and highlighted that she called herself CC for Cassie Combs.
Text message, Cassie writes, "I'm lost without you."
We know now that she called herself Cece for Cassie Combs. We know now that she wanted to have a child with him.
Jurors also heard an audio recording where Cassie could be heard threatening to Diddy associate, who had video of one of her freak-offs with Diddy.
The jurors were shocked. I saw the eyebrows raised.
Cassie was asked about receiving a FaceTime from her now husband while she was having with Diddy.
I think they're trying to use what they can, again, to discredit her.
They questioned her about her time in rehab for PTSD and referenced explicit messages from their relationship. But legal experts noted this strategy backfired spectacularly. Instead of undermining Cassie, it painted her as a trauma victim caught in a manipulative relationship with a massive power imbalance. The cross-examination took a particularly contentious turn when the defense asked Cassie about receiving a FaceTime call from her now husband while she was allegedly having sex with Diddy. This line of questioning drew visible disapproval from several jurors. Court observers noted that attempting to shame alleged victims often proves to be a risky strategy.
The facts are the facts, the texts are the texts, and I think that the evidence will be clear.
That Ventura had a choice and that she chose to participate in those encounters.
What the defense seemed to miscalculate was how their approach might reinforce rather than undermine Cassie's allegations. By highlighting her struggles with PTSD and rehabilitation, they inadvertently drew attention to the potential consequences of the abuse she claimed to have suffered. Mental health experts noted that these symptoms are consistent with trauma responses often seen in survivors of prolonged abuse.
Unfortunately, we're all going to take a disgusting trip to his seedy, awful world. You know, the man has no class. He has no kindness in his dark, dark heart. And he's depraved. That's my opinion. This is a depraved, disgusting individual.
The weight of Dawn's testimony wasn't just in what she said, it was in how Diddy reacted. The typically unflappable music mogul visibly darkened, shifting uncomfortably and leaning toward his legal team with urgent whispers. His composure, maintained so carefully in the public eye for decades, began crumbling under the pressure of first-hand accounts. Courtroom reporters described a marked change in Diddy's demeanor as Dawn's testimony progressed. The confident, charismatic figure who entered the courtroom gave way to someone increasingly agitated and defensive. He was seen repeatedly shaking his head during particularly damning portions of testimony, at one point even closing his eyes as if unable to bear watching as his carefully constructed public image was systematically dismantled. Body language experts noted several telling indicators of stress and anxiety in Diddy's behavior. From his rigid posture to his tightly clasped hands, these nonverbal cues suggested someone desperately trying to maintain control while feeling increasingly cornered. What makes this case particularly explosive is that Dawn isn't testifying alone. Former Danity Kane member Aubrey O'Day is next in line to take the stand, along with several former Diddy employees. Each new witness threatens to reinforce the pattern of behavior described by both Cassie and Dawn. When different people from different positions in Diddy's life tell similar stories, it creates a compelling case that can't be dismissed as isolated incidents. The anticipation surrounding Aubrey O'Day's upcoming testimony has created palpable tension in the courtroom. As another former Danity Kane member who worked closely with Diddy, she brings yet another perspective on his management style and personal conduct. Industry insiders have noted that O'Day has never been one to mince words, suggesting her testimony could be even more explosive than what's already been heard. O'Day's relationship with Diddy has been notoriously complicated. After rising to fame on Making the Band, she was eventually fired from Danity Kane, allegedly after clashing with Diddy over creative and personal differences. In the years since, she's occasionally alluded to difficult experiences during her time working with him, though she's never fully detailed the extent of those challenges. The testimony has already forced a reevaluation of Diddy's carefully constructed public persona. For decades, he's projected an image of power, success, and untouchable authority in the music industry. Now, as witnesses describe alleged incidents of control and abuse, jurors are seeing a different side, one where that same charisma and authority were allegedly weaponized in private. The contrast between Diddy's public image and the behavior described in court couldn't be more stark. In public, he's been known for his philanthropy, his business acumen, and his role as a cultural tastemaker. The allegations presented in court suggest that behind closed doors, that same charisma and influence were allegedly used to manipulate and control those around him, particularly women who were professionally or romantically involved with him. This case transcends celebrity gossip. It's exposing the hidden realities of power dynamics and abuse. Dawn Richards' testimony gave voice to what many victims face: the paralysis of witnessing abuse while feeling powerless to intervene. The courage it takes for victims and witnesses to speak out against someone as powerful as Diddy cannot be overstated, especially considering the scrutiny they face both in and out of the courtroom. As the trial continues, more witnesses are expected to come forward with their own accounts. The question now isn't just about Diddy's legal fate. It's about whether this case will force a larger conversation about accountability and abuse in industries where power imbalances are the norm. Whatever the verdict, the testimony from Dawn Richard has already changed how many view the music mogul's legacy forever. The first week of testimony has only scratched the surface of what's to come in this explosive trial. With more witnesses waiting to share their stories, the foundation of Diddy's empire doesn't just seem shaken, it appears to be crumbling before our eyes.